A terrible start on Saturday, not so terrible start to this show. Johnny, Nicholas, joined by Nick. Not Ejana, by Nick. Average Kiza enjoyer on Twitter. How's it going?
It's going great, buddy. As good as it can be going right now. Italy 3 points, knocked down. That's all we can ask for, and we move. So pretty good.
You're surviving, Johnny?
I'm actually fighting a cold right now for some reason. Only I can get a cold and plus 35 degrees Celsius weather. Like I don't understand.
You probably had the AC on too strong.
I'm fighting for my life over here.
Good helps you. I got COVID during like 36-degree weather like 2 years ago, so don't worry.
That happened to me the first time I got it back in like it was like May weather, and we got like it was like high 20s. It was kind of shitty, but yeah. I kind of know your pain.
So anyways. We're a minute 17 into this episode, and by this point on what?
We're minute 17 in, and we're already complaining.
No, not that. Now we're minute 30, and by this point on Saturday, Italy was already down 1-0. Actually, 23 seconds.
Federico Di Marco with the throw, and it's a really terrible one as he gets it away. Oh, it's an outstanding start, led in by Rami. Oh, I've hardly ever seen anything like it. Less than half a minute on the watch. A stunning start. Albania have arrived at this Euro. Federico Di Marco.
Man, my blood is boiling just listening to that again. I don't know if you guys, what your reaction was watching that. Nick, what was your reaction? Just 23 seconds in, out of the blue, they score. How did you react?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of context. So I went to a restaurant like where that a lot of my family lives nearby. So we had all of our cousins. My girlfriend came. It's like the first time she's been like watching international football, mainly because I dragged her. And so we went to the bathroom, like just because we had to like go to the bathroom before the game. And so I sit down, and all of a sudden I just see a goal hop. So like I don't actually really know what I saw. So I was simultaneously with a little bit of awe, and at the same time I was also like mad because like and you know what, on like Twitter as well, you know what, fair play, I got cooked a little bit, but I was very reactionary because that entire goal, to be honest, was kind of like one interplayer threw the ball, the other interplayer didn't get the block in. So I was very reactionary because I wasn't really happy going down 23 seconds in. But I didn't know that we were going to come back, to be quite honest with you. Like I wasn't nervous about the result. It was just, you know, I didn't want the players to be shell shocked or anything like that. So that was a little bit of an interesting way to start a game for sure.
You went to the bathroom with your girlfriend, eh?
No, not like that. No good. Wait. I didn't want to pee in. I didn't.
Oh, wait, did we lose it?
Like a thing is like movies and games, like I do not want to be interrupted, so I just had to go beforehand. So I literally sit down and I just see the shot go in. I was like, okay, cool, this is a good start.
So you missed the anthem.
No. So I got so the bathroom.
Did the anthem?
I literally for the anthem because I'm like, I'm not missing these players because everybody knows Azzurri when they scream the anthem. It's iconic. I'm not missing that.
Yeah,
I did that. I saw the lineups come up, so I'm like, you know what? I can take a really quick. I can go to the bathroom really, really quickly. So I went. I came back. I missed like the first 20 seconds, and as I sit down, I see the ball get thrown in from DeMarco, and then just a near post shot go in. So I got the important parts, to be honest. I just missed the first like 15 seconds.
You, Jenny?
It was definitely a shock. Honestly, looking back at it, I just think it was just a communication error. It was just like it was a mistake that they capitalized on perfectly. I was surprised, honestly speaking, because I was like, I did not expect that kind of play, and it kind of worried me a bit. I will say the opposite to what Nick said before. I was very worried about the fact that, like, oh, do they not have their nerves settled? You know, like, are they not calm? You know, like they don't seem composed. And thankfully, they managed to recover very well. They proved me wrong. So as you can see by the results, so I think that's just like let them have that mistake. It happens. It can happen to the best of us. So better to have that happen in game one than a final or a semifinal, you know, where the stakes are much higher. But give credit to Albania for capitalizing on that mistake. That's basically what you want to see from when you're considered the underdog. You want to get and score any opportunity that you can get from against the superior team. So, you know, they came to play, and it was it gave me a sweat. It gave me a sweat.
Yeah, I mean, I I gotta say, I was pretty emotional, a bit pissed off when it happened too, just because it's like right when the tournament starts. You know, it made me think of the Logan Shaw goal in the final, right? I think that was the 3rd minute. But when England scored that goal, I sat there. I was like, okay, they're gonna come back. Best time to get conceded on is 3rd minute. I knew, looking back at that final, I knew Italy was gonna come back. I didn't think that's what was gonna happen on Saturday because I wasn't confident in their goal scoring ability. We saw in the past couple months, past couple of games with this team, and the fact that it was 2 inter players, like I tweeted, I was pissed off too, Nick. Like
I got cooked.
You got a lot of shit for it. I did it.
I got cooked 100%. You know what? Fair play. And you know what? I even quoted the tweet as well. After I said fair play, this tweet was rescinded. Like after the 2 goals, I was like, you know what? Bygones be bygones. Like, continue. I was just very, very reactionary. I was just extremely reactionary.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially because it's 2 inter players,
It was just too soon, man. Like I literally sat down, I saw that, and then I watched the replay, like not for anything, like kind of going into that. I don't know who DeMarco's trying to throw the ball to, and if it's Bastoni, there's like 2 guys in between him. So like it was not the right choice, no matter what, even if the ball slipped, even if he like threw it too lightly. That was just a really risky throw in, no matter what. And then it's a lot less on Bastoni, to be quite honest. But like as a center back of his quality, I thought like, maybe he can get like a touch in, maybe he can try to get like a block in. And then there's my brother who's trying to blame Donnarumma on that, and I don't agree with that, to be quite honest.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So I was just like, yeah, no, like this is the defense entirely. Like they just all them up to try.
But I liked Italy's response. I mean, they came back right away. They almost scored right after. I forget if it was Chiesa passed it to Scamacca. I forget who it was right after.
Yeah. So
they almost scored like 2nd minute. And when I saw that, nerves settled a bit more. And then we had the corner.
DiMarco, Pellegrini, keeper staying on the line. It's 1-1. Alessandro Bastoni.
Yeah, when that went in, I said, okay, let's stop blaming inter players. It backfired in a good way, But I don't know if you guys saw, but so off the corner, so there was DiMarco and Pellegrini. I forget. I think it was Pellegrini took the corner, passed it to DiMarco, passed it back to Pellegrini, who crossed it in. I think it was like that. And then I saw a replay from 2006. Totti did it, I believe. I forget who it was with. Maybe Pirlo. Totti passed it to Pirlo, passed it back to Totti, who crossed it in, and Luca Toni was at the end of the cross, and it headed in almost exactly like Bastoni's goal, which is actually pretty crazy. But pretty easy goal, defending 2-wise, right, from Albania. Bastoni just came in, but at least it was an early goal 10 minutes later, and they tied it right away.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's something that like I was really happy that they responded back quickly because they really disproved the point that I was thinking. I'm like, maybe this team, they don't have their nerves settled. They don't have they don't have the full focus on, but they were quickly able to recover, which is pretty good because it shows a very big quality of professionalism from them. That they're able to not let a simple mistake just get them out of the game. And it's a young-ish squad, so you never know what you're going to get with these guys. A lot of these guys, some of them it's their first major like competition, right? Like actually playing in a competition. So it's a different ball game from qualifiers versus actually like getting to this position. So I think they handled it pretty well. I think that as we saw from the results, gives me confidence going forward. When you have to play against more serious threats such as Spain and Croatia, but we'll get there when we get there. Very nice goal, well positioned by Bastoni to get the header. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like as if Italy just did much better in this game in the air. Like we were winning a lot of aerials, which I was really impressed by. It's not something common that I feel that we have where we could just win the aerial ball. Like it just I don't know, maybe just Albania was weak at that point, or in that like aspect of the game, or if we were just actually the better team in the air. Like we've definitely gotten improved. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. I think that we actually won a lot more aerial duels than normal, which was really good to see. I think it's just like kind of going back to the fact that you said you were like a little bit like nervous, like once that goal went in. I don't know, like even though the team is a little bit more youngish, so like as you kind of explained, like you don't really know what's going to happen. I just feel like this team, like almost as a trade-off, is also more hungry. Not that like previous teams haven't been, but I just feel like everyone is here trying to like prove themselves, especially as a squad. And for, you know what, like I don't think he's the absolute perfect coach, but I do think that Spalletti like really instills a really strong like never give up attitude. It's very organized. It's very strict. Everyone knows exactly where they're supposed to be. So as soon as like that goal went in, for example, like I felt like they were just not going to like lay down without a fight. And like, I'm very happy that it only took about 10 minutes for the goal to go in. So I'm very happy that they were able to get back into it. And they just seemed like, I don't know if I want to say that they were almost like more motivated after that goal, but at least they didn't waver, which was a really big deal. And I'm very happy to see that. So it shows a lot of character in all the players.
Scamacca gets a second chance. DiMarco's there. It's 2-1 Italy. Nicola Barella with a beautiful strike. And they have turned this match around in just over a quarter of an hour.
And then, as we just heard, the Barella goal 2-1. So the game was pretty much done with the goals by the 16th minute. But beautiful, absolutely beautiful goal. I was a bit worried that either VAR would call back DiMarco, a foul on DiMarco, or at least DiMarco being offside. I'm happy it stood. They deserved to stand. What a beautiful strike by Barella. That's, I think, his second goal at the Euros, at a European Championship. Now he obviously scored against Belgium last time out. And yeah, again, when an Inter player scored that, I said, okay, they made up for their mistakes. Let's get this done. As you guys just said, I like the response. And you know what? I think the rest of the half, they continued pressing, and they had a couple of chances. Like Frattesi hit the post. Scamacca had a shot in close that was stopped by Strakosha. Like they didn't give up. What I wasn't a huge fan of is the second half, how it progressively got worse. The chances they felt a bit more comfortable just passing it around, sitting back a bit, not necessarily letting Albania take possession and they sit back, more just them sitting back with the ball. I would have liked a third because, look, guys, Albania almost scored right at the end, right? I forget who it was, but, it required Gigio to make a nice save in the 90th minute. So that's one thing that about the game I wasn't a fan of. It almost felt like I was watching a Juve game. I know Nick would disagree a bit with me there, but I just wasn't a fan that it progressively got worse. And even the subs that Spalletti made were a bit too late. I think it was 70th minute. They were defensive changes. It just, once they got into the second half, it never felt like they wanted a third goal. I don't know if you guys felt the same.
Yeah. So a couple of things, because just had a couple of points there. First of all, Barella's goal, he's easily a top 5 midfielder on earth. I'm willing to, absolutely say that with chest. He's so good, and he lacks so much of the Premier League / like French English PR. If he had that PR, he would be in so many more conversations for best mid in the world. And again, this is an Inter player, so this is how I'm being absolutely, honest, because if there was any doubt, I would probably, not go that way. But he's amazing, and I think he's going to be an absolute key player in this team. Even in his quotes, like after the game, like him saying that he would like spit blood for this squad, like he's showing a lot of leadership, which is great. I think he's the most talented player in the squad, and he's going to be integral if we do make a far run into this tournament. I believe we do, but we'll get into that. But what I was going to say as well is I agree with you. I feel like they did slow down. So I think, like, you know what, like that save from Donnarumma was fantastic, and that was the most stressed I was in the entire game by far, was like the 80th minute onwards. But I was going to say, like, we really should have ended this game in the first half. As you did say, like, Frattesi hit the post. Scamacca should have done better for a striker of his quality. Like, we really should have been out of danger by the first half. And what I am happy about is that, like, and again, Nick, you'll probably know more than anyone as well, but like, if that was a Juve game, like sitting back and getting that one goal in, like Allegri would have like praised his players. I would have been like, yeah, you know what, this was a good defensive half. Whereas like Spalletti was like, you know what, like it's good we got the result, but we got too comfortable. We have to go for a third. And like, that's what I want to hear. because I know like Italian football is basically like, oh, like it doesn't matter as long as we win. And that is the most important thing. Like I don't care for the amount of goals. I just care for safety, because it took one really good save from Donnarumma and this entire conversation is different. So I'm very happy that at least Spalletti knows and is like kind of announced that like, you know what, this was too comfortable. When we play other teams, like we have to continue. Doesn't mean throw everyone forward in the 90th. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, the win is the most important part. But I'm glad that he basically like realized that it was way too comfortable, because we did slow down in the second half. We did have some good chances. Like I do think that Chiesa's left foot shot, like I'm very happy he didn't score that, because I was actually holding a glass of water while like drink. So I would have actually like so like I obviously wanted him to score, but like it would have been such a mess because I would have like absolutely thrown a glass cup across the table. But we didn't have some chances. I just think that the first half was by far the best, maybe because we were motivated like after the initial goal. But as long as they kind of, you know, fix up a couple of things, which I think we'll probably speak about as well. I was very happy with that game. I do think there was a lot more positives than negatives for sure.
I wouldn't say that I didn't feel like as if they were trying to push. I think they were just playing a much more ball possessive game. Because they did have some they did try for some opportunities. I will have to echo Nick's point that he said about, you know, Spalletti's comments after the fact, where, you know, he expects the team to do a bit more going forward because they're capable of it, which is good because it instills confidence in the team, because the team's like, okay, well, our manager believes in us, that, you know, like despite the result today, a lot of people would basically be very they would critique it a lot, and they would you know, hold it in a negative light, which, I mean, I don't blame them, but I think the team knows that's like, okay, this is just something that mistake was just abnormal, and we're better than that. And our manager believes us and believes in us, and he believes that as well. So that's the way, that's what I take it as. I take it as the fact it's like, okay, I'm just words of encouragement, you know, push them further, because they're looking at the game ahead. This was the game that they needed to get the W. Like if there was a game that was like the free W, this was it. If for like, no disrespect to Albania, but in terms of like your next two opponents, you know, they're opponents that you have to take seriously. So the way I saw it was just essentially like him like, okay, boys, we could do that. We could do better, and I know we can. Let's get that prepped for Spain on Thursday. I think that's the game that they're really they're focusing the most on right now.
One thing I want to ask you, Nick, man of the match, Chiesa. I think there was a lot of questions about that on Twitter. I would have given it to Barella. I think even Gianni made a post about it. This one was a bit of a questionable one. He was good. He created stuff, but he didn't stand out. He wasn't the best player, you know, to finish 0 goals, 0 assists. Didn't he get subbed off too before the end of the game? Yeah, he got subbed off, right?
Yeah, he did. He got subbed off.
First, like, how do you feel about that? Do you think it should have gone into someone else? Do you think he deserved the man of the match?
Okay, so like biased, I'm very happy about it. Objectively, no, I would give it to Barella. And I even did say that, like, I'm gonna shamelessly take that. But I am gonna say as well, I do think he was probably one of the best three players. Like I would say he was top 3 in that, probably top 3 to 4. Like he was really good. Like I feel like just because you know what, I do know that football is a number game as well, but I feel like sometimes people take it a little bit too far. So yeah, he didn't get the goal contribution. He probably should have once or twice gotten assists, to be quite honest. But like the amount of like incredible dribbles and like space that he opens, like that chance, like it almost went out for like a goal kick, and he was able to basically keep it in with 2 Albanian defenders just pushing on him. Like he did do very, very well. I would still give it to Barella. And then anyone between like Bastoni, Calafiori, and Chiesa, I'd say any of those 3 would have been like honorable mentions. But yeah, I would have given it to Barella for sure. But I do think that he had a really good game, and I think like this is me being superstitious, but I think he's going to score on Thursday, like 100%. Like I think he's going to score or assist, but it would just be like poetic for him to score against Spain again, like he did in Europe, like the previous Euro. But I hope he just builds on it, because I think he did very well. Whether he should be playing off the left or the right is a different conversation, but for what he did, I think he did a really good job. And I think he put in a good shift. I don't have an issue with him being subbed either, because I feel like they kind of said, you know what, we're going to hold on to the lead. And I think saving him full fitness for Thursday is integral. So I think it was fine, to be honest.
Jenny, do you have anything to add from that? Like, you gave top 3 players, Nick. Jenny, if you had to give top 3 players from this game, who would they be?
Definitely Barella number 1. Chiesa would be in the top 3, maybe second or third. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. Barella, Bastoni, Chiesa. I don't like nobody else really like stood out. Pellegrini like was disappointing in the sense that he's trying too hard. I think he needs to simplify his game. I think he needs to like really just I feel like if he has pressure with the number 10, considering what other Romanista has worn number 10 before for the national team. So I feel like he feels like he has this like big shoes to fill, and I think he just needs to calm it down and just be simple. Because like I admire the effort that he put in, and if he didn't really try hard, I think maybe a couple of his efforts actually would have gone in, or he would have had a dangerous opportunity. Nick said it perfectly. The whole Chiesa swap. We need him to be the best early on. We need him to be our best player versus Spain. We need the whole team to be good versus Spain. I think it's not just gonna like we can't just rely on one player to actually help us out here. We're not an individual team. We have a roster that's capable of finding success together. And like as though even though last Euros Chiesa did get that goal and he's a very crucial player. It was a team effort, that goal. Donnarumma to I forget which defender, then it was to Insigne, which midfielder, then it was to Insigne, and then Insigne tried to pass it off to Immobile. Immobile managed to get the deflection off to leave it off for Chiesa, and then Chiesa just put it in. We need something like that. We need a team effort. And if you look at their goals, it's usually how it's never an individual effort. Chiesa's fantastic, manages to win the ball and get it in the very, very, very key spots. So I want to see that from him versus Spain. And man of the match, I wouldn't say so. I was really kind of wondering why Barella didn't get it, but to each their own, right? I'm about saying he didn't like I said, he was top 3. It wasn't as if like it was a surprise that he got man of the match. It was just more like, okay, for what, a few successful dribbles, sure, I'll take it. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna add to it.
One thing I want to see from Chiesa is he made some nice dribbles to get into the box. I want to see him be better in the box, and this is something I've always said about him. He's not the player who's going to do everything by himself. Either he has to create more space for himself to get himself in a better shooting position, or find a better pass. I know there was one play where he made a nice pass to Pellegrini, who went for the bicycle kick and screwed it up. But think about all the nice plays Chiesa made. They were outside the box. Once he got in, he lost the ball or he made a bad decision. So that's just something I want to see better. For me, Scamacca actually played well. Obviously not one of the best players, but he's another player. I like how he was involved in the build-up play. His back towards the goal. Just that typical number 9. And he allowed either Pellegrini or Chiesa to continue the attack, even continue the attack from the midfielders. So I'd like to see him build on that against Spain, but also be less afraid to shoot. I feel like Scamacca was a bit timid to shoot. I know he had a chance. Like I said before, a good save by Strakosha. But yeah, that's just something that I think needs to be better. Top 3. Obviously, Calafiori, I really liked him in terms of passing. Even defending well. He made a lot of nice aerial plays. Gianni said before, winning those aerial battles. I feel like he did a good job. Obviously, Bastoni too. And as much as DiMarco screwed up on that Albania goal, I think he had a great game afterwards. He was really involved in the attack. He made a lot of nice, smart passes. I was happy to see him there on the left side. So from second 23 until minute 90, I think he did well. But for me, it still has to be Barella as man of the match. Even I'm gonna even give a shout to Fratesi. I was pleasantly surprised with him. He was a player that I wasn't too sure if he'd start or not, and he almost scored, obviously at the post. I think you could see the chemistry between him and Barella playing all season together. So that was really great to see. And yeah, we just need more of that and better versus Spain.
So I just wanted to say quickly, I have a point on both of those. I think to DeMarco, I think after obviously his like initial mistake, I think he had a good game for sure. Like he definitely did have like one or two good chances, where he put the ball into the box and was just waiting for a striker like Skamaka to come in. I think to his standards, because he's such a good fullback, like a top 5 in the world, like left back for sure, left wing back, I think it was a little bit underwhelming, but I think that he'll warm up into it, so that's okay. As for Fertezi, like I have some problems with Fertezi. Like I don't dislike him, but like sometimes like okay, like you guys have played FIFA before, right? You guys have played, when you have like lag where like you press a button or an input delay where you press a button and then they do something like 2 seconds later. That's what Fertezi is to me. Like maybe it was even just the last friendly we just watched. Like he takes so long to shoot sometimes, like where he gets a ball and he takes an extra touch or two, or when he passes, sometimes he takes like an extra touch or an extra second. Like I do like him. I just feel like sometimes, like, I don't know if it's because he's just nervous or if he's just like a little bit stuck. So I think he did decently well. Like obviously he hit the post, and you know what? The goalie made a great save. Like I initially thought he just missed, but then after seeing it, it was a really good save from the goalie. But I don't love him. And like somebody basically told me, like I think it's kind of funny because like I understand what they're trying to say. Somebody basically said that Fertezi is just like a middle like class striker, because when it actually comes to like midfield play, like he's great at scoring goals, right? But when it comes to midfield play, I feel like he's not an elite passer. He does have an engine, but he's not like a great dribbler. Like the things that like a midfielder should be good to do, like look at Barella, right? Or even if he's not as physical, look at like Jorginho, right? He just like sometimes doesn't do the things that midfielders should do as well as scoring. Like scoring is like one of his best traits. And I think if our squad was a little bit different in terms of who we called up, like I do think missing out on Orsolini it could be detrimental. I'm not going to say it's like the end of the world, but I definitely think he should have been chosen after the season he had. I would say he would be like an amazing sub. But right now with the players that we have, especially the wing depth, like he kind of has to start. So I hope that, he only builds on this because he did do some stuff very well. He did have some good interplay. I want to see a little bit more from him because I don't know. There were parts of that game that were like kind of frustrating in my opinion.
Guys, let's talk Calafiori because he was the guy who stole the headlines pretty much on Twitter. Everyone was tweeting that picture of him with the headband, which I kind of have a problem with because you could easily post a picture of a guy with a headband and nice hair and say, "Oh, look, this guy's amazing." Wait till he plays. He's good. Yeah, guys, he's good. He's good. Let's calm down on the Maldini comparisons. Let's calm down on the Bonucci comparisons. He's I can't say I watched too much of Bologna this year, right? But, one thing I noticed watching him, in this game versus Albania, amazing passer. And that's what happens. He was a left wing back. Mata transitions him to center back, and that's the strength he brings. He's really good at building up play. The defensive work is there. It's good, but it could be better. He was the one that got burned on the 90th minute chance that Donnarumma saved. If Albania scores there, maybe there's not as much reaction on Twitter about him, right? So let's pump the brakes on the comparisons. Let the kid grow. Let the kid have a good tournament. Bastoni. At the end of the day, Bastoni's still Italy's best defender. Full stop. He's not Italy's best young defender. He's Italy's best defender right now. He's taken over the reins from Bonucci and Chiellini. Obviously, he still has ways to go to reach their level in terms of legendary status. But I even comparing, let's say, Bastoni and Calafiori right now to Chiellini and Bonucci, you got one guy who's more your typical tough defender. That's Bastoni. You got Calafiori, who's the passer like Bonucci. But again, calma. Let's see what they got the rest of the tournament. Obviously, Italy still has Mancini and Buongiorno available. It'll be interesting to start if Spalletti decides to go with alternate players at center back. What did you guys think of their play on Saturday?
I think Calafiori was a bit overrated in my personal opinion. I feel like everyone was like super hyped about him. It's just like, I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying, like, he got way more praise than he deserved. Like the last play of the game, there was like Albania's chance. He was just not tracking the guy very well. There was the dangerous opportunity where Donnarumma made that save towards the end. That it hit off the side of his body. Calafiori completely lost track of him. He's good, sure, but I'm not saying he's like this like legendary, like, oh my God, savior. Bastoni's been there for a while. I feel like I call it way before Bastoni Mancini would probably be the pairing going forward. And I feel like it still might be, but it's good to have Calafiori as a third option though. That's not a bad thing. It's good to have Calafiori as your third option. It's like that, like you can have a rotation going. It's like that worst case scenario. If one person goes down, you have somebody who's able to fill in the spot, or like if you really need to shut them down, you can put a 3-man CB line back there if you want to do a 3-5-2, or more of a like more options, more center back options. I think he did well. Bit overrated in terms of performance, but still good. But he's young. He's gonna make mistakes. It just sucks, because like Roma just let him go, and it's like, okay, great, like. That's another player that they just gone by, just lost potential. But yeah, whatever. Maybe I'm a little bit salty about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nico,
So
how about you?
yeah. So I have a little bit of a middle ground to you guys. I don't think he was overrated. I do. Like, okay, sorry. Let me clarify. Comparisons to Maldini and like because he has long hair, so like Nesta and that. Okay, yeah, that's overrated, like 100%. You know what I mean? That's just like reactionary Twitter. I don't think like that's too much. You know what I mean? Like people, like I've seen people tweet and say like, oh, he was born 20 years too late because he has like the look of like the early 2000 Italian defenders. I do think he was very good though. I do think he was very good. Also, like I know it's not the point of the podcast, but like he's my number one target for Juve. Like I would give up on all other transfers that are not already done. So like Di Gregorio is like pretty much done. But like pause Coop Miners, pause whoever else. Like I need him on my club. Like I think he's great, and I definitely think he will develop into an incredible center back. I also have his numbers here just to pull it up because the only thing I would say is because on the pass that led to that breakaway, I do think that he was a little bit caught out, but I also do think it was a very good pass because I had a chance to like look at it, and unless he was like 3 seconds ahead, which we all know like that can't always be the case, it was a very well weighted pass. But yeah, he definitely could have done better there. But like in terms of the rest of the game, he had 100% aerial duels won, 93% pass accuracy, which is really, really good for a center back, 5 recoveries, 3 interceptions, and then 2 out of 2 dribbles because he's not afraid to push up as well. So I think he's great. In terms of the Spain game, so I don't want to disappoint you, Johnny, but like I don't really ever want to see Mancini start on the team, to be honest with you. I don't trust him like at all. And I think especially in a game that's like a high pressing team like Spain, I feel like you need a center back that can pass the ball. And also, by the way, just to credit Bastoni, like he's an amazing passer as well. Like I know he's a bit like more of like a like defender, like old fashioned, but he's an incredible passer. So I think the ability that both the center backs are so good at distributing the ball, and especially under pressure. If you have been watching like Bologna as well during the season, like Calafiori's shown this almost every single game. He's like pretty press resistant for a center back, which is fantastic. And I think against Spain, that could be really effective. I don't know. So this is a different conversation. I don't know if they're going to change their formation. I assume they're probably going to keep it the same unless Spalletti has such a, an idea that he decides to change it. If they switch to a 3 at the back, then I'm okay with Mancini playing. I don't have an issue with that because I think in a 3-man defense, I think he is a lot better. Especially because, Roma plays that a lot too, or at least they used to before De Rossi. I know they switched a lot to 4.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think like that performance was good enough where he deserves to start again. I would start the exact same 2 center backs, to be honest. The only question in the entire back line I have any issue about, and then it kind of rises a bit of a difference, is Di Lorenzo. But I think like the 3 of Bastoni, DeMarco, and Calafiori should probably stay put. But yeah, in terms of the hype question, sorry, like I do think like the hype is a little bit much, but I think that he can develop into like an extraordinary center back. And like, I'm a little upset that he's getting all this PR because it's only going to cause Bologna to ask for more. And like, that's a bit of a problem because we don't exactly have a lot of money at Juve, but I think they'll get it over, but that's not the point of conversation. So, yeah, I don't know. I was very impressed with him, though. I thought he was really, really good.
What I didn't like was all this, oh, he has aura. What the hell's aura? Like, what? Because he has a fancy haircut and a headband? Like, come on, guys.
It's like I think it's kind of going back to like the like vintage Italian center backs, because like I know like you don't like the word aura, but like Maldini was aura. Okay.
Yeah, no, of course.
Maldini is just like aura-less. Like, sorry, like he's like unlimited. Sorry, not aura-less. Buffon, Del Piero, you know what I mean? Like iconic, like vintage players. And again, I do think his look definitely adds to it. I also feel like because it's like handsome tax, like,
yeah.
You know,
Man, I
mean?
wish I had an handsome
Like
tax.
some of my
Plus, he has a sleeve. He has a tattoo sleeve. There you go. Extra 10 million.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I do think he's a good-looking dude. Like, quite honest with you, like my cousins were there, and they're like, "Oh, who's that number 5?" But like my female cousins that don't really watch often, and they're like, "Who's that number 5?" And I was like, "Oh, like it's the center back, and he's young. Like I believe he's like what 22. I think
he's 22. Yeah,
I think he's about 22. Yeah, he's about 22." And I was like, "Oh, like that's like a new center back that's coming in, like Calafiori." You know what I mean? And they're like, "Oh, that's my player. Like that's my player." You know? I'm like, "Oh yeah, because you know a lot, right?" So I don't know. Yeah. I think it's between like his looks, but I do think he's really good, man. And like I didn't expect him to start, to be quite honest, but now that he's like had a solid game, like I feel like it would be almost kind of unfair to like kill that momentum unless Spalletti has such a specific plan for Spain that it's like, okay, it will not work as well with him. That's fine. You know what I mean? You kind of just have to trust that at the moment.